Unsyndicated presents What the Puck with Sean Baligian.
The title of this episode today is simply put going to be What's Going On, Wings? Really, what's going on, Wings? And we're going to be talking a lot about that. My buddy Mike is here. I'm Sean. Mike, I'm sure, like everybody else, you saw some of the things that were going on about this Red Wing start. It is, to put it mildly, depressing. Somebody sent this, I don't know, what is it, meme, screenshot, whatever.
I think the kids call that a meme.
Okay. Least goals scored in the NHL. Thanks to my buddy Tom from London for sending this. Least goals scored in the NHL. Least 5-on-5 goals scored in the NHL. Worst penalty kill in the NHL. I know a guy who's been banging the drum about that. 7th worst goal differential, least points from a defenseman, worst shot differential, 5th worst team in the National Hockey League. Speak of the devil, and he shall appear. Tom appears. Tom, thanks for sending that. Mike, where do we start with this team?
There's so many. You had to stop me when I sat down here. You asked me one question. I went in 15 directions. I asked you a lot of questions. I think when we talked about this show, we had Ovechkin on, hot starts in the NHL. Let's talk some NHL. I don't know if we get past this topic in the allotted time that we have before we go off to the lovely VH Ice Center and watch some Michigan high school hockey.
Salem and Howell.
Nice. You're going to like Howell. You're going to like Howell.
I'm really looking forward to it. There's a lot to like about both teams. All right, I'm going to let you start. Where do you start?
Well, we could start with what we saw in the West Coast trip. We always know the West Coast trip is tough, right?
Okay. Don't we ever? Oy, oy, oy.
And it is one that, I'm a gambler, right? And I took a gamble this year, Sean. I made a phone call to one Xfinity cable and had a conversation about getting Bally or FanDuel Sports, whatever it is called now. And I called their bluff.
Be nice. Be nice.
No, it's not FanDuel's problem. This is Xfinity's problem.
Tread lightly.
I like FanDuel.
Thank you. I like FanDuel.
I love FanDuel.
I'm a big fan of FanDuel.
I'm a huge fan of FanDuel. So I had the conversation of, I'm not going to pay you $30 a month for that station. I'll pay $10 a month.
Sure.
All right. They called my bluff. I hung the phone up. I do not have that channel. So I gambled that it'll be fine. If they make the playoffs, I can watch the playoffs because it won't be on there, or I can watch them somewhere else. So I don't have it. So I didn't have to watch this. All I got to watch was the highlights. And that was awful. And everything I read that's awful. It's everything that you just listed off. No 5-on-5 goals. The penalty kill, the worst. And then they sit around and they're talking about, oh, look at how good our power play is. It's 3rd in the league. Do you know they're at the bottom 5 of drawing penalties?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that gets to the crux of where you were starting with this is no effort.
No.
I mean, I have right here, no entertainment. That's personal, right? Like they're not entertaining to watch. No one wants to watch it. You have to have effort to draw those penalties to get onto that. But that gets into the PK. That gets into everything that we're seeing here, the no goals. So where do we want to start?
Well, there's a couple places. David says, seems like they have no killer instinct at all at times. I know I've been banging this drum, whether it be on Woodward or talking to you. I think what they aren't doing on the penalty kill says a lot. It really does. And Mike, I think you know this better than anybody. A PK can really a lot of times just be improved with simple effort. I mean, honestly, it's not all effort. There's no doubt about that, but simple effort. And it was funny because Neil Rule and I had been talking about this, and Darren McCarty came in the next day, and literally said, I was watching the game and I watched what I felt were 7 guys were going shift in, shift out, and the rest of the team were passengers. Mm-hmm. Now, if Darren McCarty's seeing that That makes me feel good about what I'm seeing. I've seen that for a while now. And before we jump, I want to say this to you because you and I have had conversations about this, okay? And I want to say this to everybody else out there because somebody actually called me an Iserman apologist the other day.
Oh.
Listen, I said it the day he was hired, and I said it up until this very moment. I was not going to pile on. I was not going to talk about what this team looked like, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, until this season. I said it. You could go back and watch some of the videos that we made over there. Said it time and time again. 24-25, all bets are off. That's when you can start questioning things. We didn't like the way this team was constructed in the offseason. You and I talked about it. And you know what, Mike? Here's a crazy thing. It's worse. It's worse than I think any of us would have thought. It is not just a Lalonde problem. It is not. There are a lot of problems with this team. And do you know where I'm going to start? One place where I don't hear a lot of people starting is the development of certain can't miss players.
Well, yeah, and that was kind of what are we talking about the Red Wings, and I went off on this right here. And you can't click Red Wings into your browser and not get Lalonde should be fired. Lalonde should be gone. He's going to be gone by Monday after this trip. Monday's a must win. Can't do all on this guy's shoulders. And then so you have to ask that question. I believe I asked that question. I know I talked about it with Blake in the betting show because I've gone off on a couple football teams, but I believe I brought this up about the Red Wings. Is it a production problem or is it a design problem? And when it's a production problem, you're talking about the talent that you have. When you're talking about a design problem in professional sports, there's two aspects of that. It's the building of the team. It's the evaluating of the talent as you bring it in. And then the hardest thing in professional sports to do, I would never know, I'm not there, but what I read and what I hear is the actual evaluating of the talent that you have, that you brought in. Like, who's evaluating the Red Wings talent right now? And what are they honestly saying? Are they giving it an honest thing? And I think those two things have to be answered. Who did we bring in? And what are they doing right now? And how are we evaluating that before we can put anything on the lone shoulders? Because you talked about the effort and stuff. And my first question was, is that all he can get these guys to do? Because that's the talent that we have. And when you said McCarty came in and said 7 guys were going, I might be able to pick out those 7 guys, but I guarantee they're minus players too. So that to me gets into the player part of it. What are they doing? And then Lalonde's big thing. This is the big thing I want to watch for Lalonde is he game planning right now for the talent that he has? But what is his game plan to get these guys better? It's early in the season. We had a very similar conversation last year at the beginning of the season. This team almost made the playoffs. As bad as they were and as bad as it would have been in the playoffs, they almost made the playoffs. They did get better. So I think it's still too early to judge Lalonde unless you're that confident that the people that are doing the evaluating of the talent, as you said, this is who we brought in, and this is the talent we have, and this is the way they're producing right now, and this is how good they are right now. I don't think they're being honest about the talent that they have.
Do you know what terrifies me along the lines of what you're just saying, Mike? And I know this is going to sound crazy, but I'm going to say it anyway, because just hearing you go like this, do you know what this reminds me a little bit of? And I'm not saying that that's how it's going to end. I'm not. But do you know what it reminds me a little bit of? You know where I'm going with this, don't you?
I believe so.
It's the Alavila Detroit Tigers kicking the can down the road. It is. It is. You guys, right now, today, that's what it is. All we heard is wait till, look what we have in the pipeline. Look what we have. Look at all the prospect ranking lists, okay? That's all we heard for years. And we lived it with Alavila, okay? And the difference is I could at least point out and say, well, look what this guy's doing in this league, or look what that guy's doing for his junior club or in the AHL, et cetera, et cetera. With the Alavila situation, it was like we heard all these magical, mystical names, and then I would go, please do a little research. Google is your friend. Go look up what this guy's doing at West Michigan, what this guy's doing at Erie, what this guy's doing, wherever the case may be. Right now, all of those prospect ranking lists of the last 4 years, really 4 years, have missed wildly with this hockey club.
Yeah, and that gets into having that, like you said, the Alavila problem. And it's funny because you brought up the Tigers. I was thinking the Lions. And forever, and we had this conversation right before we came on, forever, the Fords got to sell the team. The Fords got to sell. The Fords are ruined. The Fords are bringing in the wrong people. They don't have the good management. They don't have good, like this.
They don't care.
Okay. Now, I brought up that same kind of question with Mr. Ilitch, not the Mr. Ilitch. It's almost a shame to say this, is that
that may help me
when you're talking about the R word that you brought up last show, the rebuild, and rebuilds are harder. Where do we think the rebuilds start? They start with ownership, and if you have ownership that is not competent and bought in and involved, not a Jerry Jones involved, but involved. Hey, we're going to bring this guy in. We're not just going to let someone else have. We're going to bring this guy. I mean, the Mr. Ilitch. Where did it all start with the Red Wings? One signing of a Jimmy Devellano from the New York Islanders organization, and then all of a sudden it was off and running. Again, I asked this question. You said this is the year. This is when we can start doing it. Do we have the right management in place? And would Mr. Ilitch evaluate his own management to be able to say this is or isn't working? I don't think he would ever do this. This could be really bad. This could look really bad. I'm giving it time to see if Coach Lalonde can game plan for this team and make them better.
Well, you know what's interesting, and we got some comments. We'd love to get your comments as well. And I wanted, and Tom said, "Wow, Sean, that's a great point." And let me say again, I'm not saying that that's how it's going to turn out, but we all live this. If you're a Tiger fan, we did. I mean, how many Detroit's got the #1 system in baseball? I mean, how many times did we see something like that? And the amount of I don't even, what's the word I could use? Propaganda that we heard about this. Okay. Here we are. Hey, I'm going to tell you what, was it you or was it Shep? I don't remember. I was talking, one of you guys brought up the point. You have to hand out these $8 million contracts today. That's the National Hockey League. Was it you that brought this up?
No,
Stop.
I did not.
Okay. And
but it's right.
When you are giving out $8 million contracts, okay, you have to play like an $8 million man. Okay. Right now, Dylan Larkin is playing like an $8 million man. I cannot stress that enough. And you know my feelings on Dylan Larkin, okay? Not that I hate the guy or anything. I think he's a good player. He's playing like that guy.
He's earning his contract.
Yeah, how about the other guys? I thought the world of Mo Seider. I thought the world of Mo Seider. And I want you to hear what I'm saying here, okay? I still think that Mo Seider is a good player. You'd rather have a Mo Seider. But you guys tell me, Mike, you tell me, has Mo Seider developed in the last 2 years to the I don't even want to use the word dominant. How about really good defenseman that we all thought he would?
No, and I think that's a part of the problem of the production of not having the talent around him. You can't throw a Mo Seider at his age in there. And all we heard, I remember having the conversation with you about, like, he was a man when he was skating in Grand Rapids and doing some things early in that COVID season before he went over to Germany. Like he was going to come over, he was going to be an early captain, all these kinds of things. But you throw them in the NHL and you don't have anything around him. And I will support 100% all the advanced metric data that shows all the time he was on the ice and did all the things. But what do you want him to be? Right? I mean, you're selling us on he's the next coming. He's the next Nick, right? That's a totally different player right there. You can't do that. And that's paid also differently, kinds of things. So to his defense, I think he's doing something, but is he what, again, was shoved at us?
Right.
No.
I hope you're hearing me.
Yeah,
I'm not saying he's garbage. Like,
no,
I'm not
at all.
saying that at all. But you know what? Where's the development been? Where's that next step? You want to see those young players here. I know everybody's going to call me a slapdick. Are you ready?
Go.
Cole Caulfield. You knew what it was. You saw flashes of it, but you know what you had to see? You had to see this. So, you absolutely had to see that. And like David brought up, Shep said the other day, how about Veleno? He's been a miss. I mean, if that's the guy that you drafted, if you drafted that guy to be your fourth line guy, Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
That was when I was pointing at it. That was my point. Like,
Okay.
what did we think he was going to be?
All right. I don't get it. Eric, what's up, Eric? Nice to chiming in from work. Mo development is slow down. Think it could be his D partner. He's a big dude, but he doesn't hit right now. Number 2, Lucas Raymond. I thought that Lucas Raymond would blow up this year. Do you remember the last month of the year? Do you remember those last 2 games against the Habs? You and I were at the one game. Dude took over. Where is that guy? I'm not being funny.
No,
you guys are watching the game. And again, you guys don't. I'm not saying he's garbage. I'm not saying get rid of him. I almost feel like I'm having the Dylan Larkin conversation all over again.
It is.
I'm not. But guess what, guys? That development, that it's that linear thinking. Everybody thinks that, it goes like this, it goes like this. Well, sometimes it doesn't go like that. And you know what? I'm watching 2 guys that have shown all the ability in the world that haven't taken a step, Mike.
If you knew all the not conversations, arguments I've had with people, and if anyone's listening, you know who you are, that I've had about Dylan Larkin. I've had to walk them all back. But here's the thing that Mo and Ray need to know is that soon as you put your name on that contract, congratulations, that's life-changing money. You are set for the rest of your life. But the expectations are you are going to be better. You're going to live up to that contract. You're going to continue to get better. You're going to be a leader. We're going to be able to see it on the ice. If not, you're going to eat some words. You're going to have these people talking about you. So anyone that's taking offense and saying that you're saying those things doesn't know what we're talking about, because that is exactly what we're talking about. What gets me excited about this before you read that is all this conversation about Raymond and Seider are exactly what I'm talking about with the production and the design. If Lalonde is staying, and if he's going to be our guy, he is our guy. Steve brought him, and he's our guy. They have to get better. Those are 2 guys you have to visibly see on FanDuel Sports watching that game that they are going to get better.
Let me tell you about Lindsey Broadwell. When it comes time to getting yourself a house, you're buying, you're selling, oftentimes both, you need the right agent. Who do we recommend? Lindsey Broadwell. There she is. Your house is probably the biggest investment you'll ever make, and that's why you need a pro. Lindsay grew up on the main streets of Northville and has expanded her team all over Southeast Michigan. She's an expert in all facets of the business. And when it's time to move, our friend Lindsay and her team will make sure you get the most out of your house and everything goes smoothly when finding your new home. Buyer, seller, first-time buyer, doesn't matter. Make sure you contact Lindsay at BroadwellHomes.com. She will help you with everything from start to close. Licensed realtor at Real Broker LLC. Start your search today at BroadwellHomes.com. One of the things that a lot of people have pointed out, and at least people I think are understanding tendencies. I'm a big tendency guy. And, when you talk about a new coach, I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times, he has shown the tendency to hire new guys. Guy Boucher was the hot name. Everybody thought, he was next. He was in the Habs system. A lot of people thought he was the coach in waiting for Jacques Martin. He went and got him. Okay, then you go get a guy by the name of John Cooper. Whatever happened to that cat? I'd say that worked itself out very well. Is he
any good?
So all we can do is base him on what he's done in the past. Another thing that we have to do, and I've heard more people say this than you can shake a stick at, and it's like, we've been talking about this forever. Until he has the guy, whether you like it or not, he's going to continue to bring in these vets and try to catch lightning in a bottle. He is. And he's going to play in Alex Lyon until he wears him out. I mean, again, it's not, if you follow the National Hockey League in any way, shape, or form, you saw it happen the year before with Florida before he got here and before the bottom dropped out. What did you think was going to happen with Cam Talbot? Like, I'm not being funny. I'm being really sincere here, okay? This is a journeyman goaltender his whole career. He's long in the tooth. He wrung a little bit out of him. He had a few good starts there in October.
Yep.
We talked about it, that model was not sustainable. I'm not trying to be funny, and I'm sorry if I come across as condescending, but what did you think was going to happen? Did you think that was going to continue? That hasn't been him his whole career, man.
No, they're searching hard for that guy that is going to be their Ben Bishop, their guy before Vasilevsky.
The guy before the guy.
Before Augustine, and at the money they're throwing at these guys. But to your point though, what did we expect? I mean, and now as the season gets along and you're putting up 40 shots on this guy, he's going to give up 4 or 5 goals. It just is. And you know what? He's going to have an outstanding performance here or there, give up 1 or 2. He's going to have his wins. But that's just life with the Red Wings right now. And it's getting desperate. They're 1-5, I believe, in their last 6 games. They lost 3 in a row, 1 to San Jose, 1 to Anaheim on that West Coast trip. And I love to throw stats out there, right?
I love stats.
You love stats.
Go on.
All right. The last 9 years, 76% of the teams that are in playoff position on Thanksgiving make the playoffs. This is a big time. It's kind of like that. What is it? Game 44 in the baseball season, whatever they say. What I don't know. I don't know baseball as well, but there's always these
40 game mark.
40 game mark. This is the mark for hockey. 76% of these teams that are in these slots already are going to make it. The Wings, again, it's young in the season, so point wise, but they're nowhere near that, no. I don't see them getting there. But again, that's going to be the test if Mr. Lalonde is going to stay.
Todd, what do you have? I like when Todd has little trinkets and whatnot. I don't see Rob Parker in there. Yes, there I am. Yeah. Now, you know what, Mike? You and I have had this conversation. I'm sorry. There is a reason that general managers in the league, not Sean Baligian, general managers in the league, and I had 2 general managers in the league tell me point blank, separately, by the way, what the average fan doesn't understand is this is a 5-year plan. Now, if one told me that, I might go, but another one told me that. And by the way, and I'll tell you off the air which 2 they were, if I didn't already. One was the general manager of a successful club, and one was a general manager of a not so successful club. And that's what they said to me. So my vantage point during this whole time has been, let's wait till 24-25. Let's wait till 24. Well, 24-25 is here. And I'll echo what you just said. They're not close. Like they're not a good watch. Here it comes again. I'm going to hammer the penalty kill. It's a disgrace. I mean, you give up 3 penalties a game and you're giving up a goal a game. You give up 6, you have some extracurricular stuff and you're giving up 2. That's a brutal average. 34%, Mike, is brutal.
And this is the battle that we're going to do all year with this. So what is that? Is that the effort? Is that the talent that we have there? Is there not a game plan in place for the guys and the talent that we have to have a good PK?
Right.
Or is it more of the coach? Is it the coaching? Is it that game plan of it? Because you look at it, I think I brought this up. I don't know if it was on the air last time, but you brought up the PK earlier, and we were talking about the turning point for the Edmonton Oilers last year as the playoffs came on. Well, how long did they go into the playoffs before they gave up a power play goal? I mean, they were shutting down this Dallas team. Man, I can't think of who it was before that, but they were shutting down some of the best power plays in the NHL. They brought a coach in to do that. That's what a good coach does. That a good coach is going to have a PK, a power play guy, a forward guy, a defense guy. He's going to, Lalonde should just be managing the people. So it's not who's he bring in, or is that the talent that we have?
Right.
That this is all that we can have. So this is going to be this back and forth. If it's not the talent, if it's a coaching thing, and Lalonde's going to stay, and he is our guy. And again, I don't know what the people out there want. The guy's 70, 76, and 69. But hey, that everyone wants him gone, right?
I think it's both right now. I really do. I'd be lying if I said otherwise. I do.
And that is what I have highlighted right here. Is Lalonde the problem? Everyone wants him gone. That's all anyone wants to talk about. And I don't think that's fair. And then if it is, then what are you going to do? We already talked about
Sergei Fedorov.
Sergei Fedorov, right? Or how about his best friend, Gerard Gallant?
I had a lot of people bring up Jerry Gallant.
Are you going to bring the bad press with Joel Quenneville? Everyone's going to say. I did get sent a legitimate Montgomery one.
I brought this up. I brought this up last night, and of course I'm biased, but I know a guy who was very, very good with young players, who was known to develop young players, who had many teams in the National Hockey League say, instead of going to the college you want to go to, why don't you go play for this guy in juniors so he can get you ready? A guy by the name of Mike Vellucci, who I know knows Steve Yzerman. I talked about it last night.
How did he interview last time?
I know he was in the conversation. I know he was in the conversation with a few different teams as well. And it kind of came up last night in regards to the Boston Bruins, because you were standing there when I had this conversation with him. I literally said, I hope you get the job, but I'm done rooting for you. As long as you're a Bruin, I'll never root for you. I mean, that's just the way it is. So some other comments, I was binging on Leverage episodes. Tom said Buffalo has been rebuilding for the last 10 years and maybe just now have a good team. Gone through coaches and GMs like crazy. Skydog said Chris Chelios. I don't think Chelly would have any interest in being a head coach. I think I could almost say definitively, I think Chris Chelios likes being Chris Chelios. I could almost say that definitively. I think Chris Chelios likes being Chris Chelios, if that makes sense.
Yes, that makes sense to me.
You know, and I don't think that would be something that he's interested in.
The question that these people have to ask, and this is I don't have the answer. This is the same thing I'm asking myself. Bring in Quenneville, bring in Montgomery, bring in Scotty Bowman, bring in the reincarnation of any coach that you want. My problem with this is right now, this is not a good team. How coached up are you going to coach this team? How much of a game plan are you going to have for this team? You still don't have the dogs to run the race. So you got to watch what you're asking for. And if Lalonde stays, is that what Yzerman is even saying? Like, hey, it's not on him. This is not his fault.
I think in my mind, I'm reading the tea leaves. I think that we're nearing the end. That's if I were a betting man, and I'm not. I mean, you're the betting man.
I have some bets for you.
I think we're I think we're nearing the end. I think we're nearing the end.
And when you start talking about effort and things like penalty killing, and those are all locker room coach, head coach, management kind of things. That's what it looks like, doesn't it? It is what it looks like when they limp out of that 3-game West Coast swing like that. It's promising that he still has a job, but I was surprised.
What I'm going to be really intrigued at, Mike, and I'm going to give an example, and you're going to be really, really shocked at this. But the example that I'm going to give is when I look at the schedule, I want to see how they respond against the Islanders coming back home, for example. Okay.
Yep.
I want to see how they respond against the Islanders coming back home. And then I want to see what they do against the flailing Bruins at home. I want to see what they do the next couple games to tell me exactly where this team is at. And I'll tell you why. All right. Believe it or not, there was a lot of smoke. I didn't think there was any fire, but there was a lot of smoke. Had Marty St. Louis kind of worn out his welcome with the Habs.
Yep.
Okay. And I'm not joking. I watched them 2 nights in a row look really good. Like
starting with that Edmonton game?
Really good. Like I was going, ooh.
The defensive team that you dreamed of?
Ooh. They had a 5-1 win, and then they got the shutout. So there were 2 games in a row that I watched, and I said, the guys are going. It looks like they're buying into what they're preaching. And they, again, I know it's so easy to blame goaltenders in situation. I think that they're a piss poor defensively team. I do. I think they're just a piss poor defensive team. So I mean, they're cute little pieces, but some of the pieces are young and but a kind of a mismatch and everything. So I think that answered what the boys feel about Marty St. Louis.
Right.
Maybe we'll get our answer in these next couple games at home. You come back home limping a little bit. If you come out with fire and you beat an Islanders team, you come out with fire and you beat a Bruins team, maybe that'll tell everybody what these guys think about Coach Lalonde.
Because that gives them 3 games, if I saw that correct. Islanders, Bruins, Islanders, and then this crazy hot Flames team comes in.
Yeah.
Into the picture. And that could be a game where that could be your Jacksonville Jaguars, Detroit Lions game where the team just quits and that's an 8-0 game. And then we're talking about a new coach coming in. But you're absolutely right. They beat the Islanders. They play well. They're very much on level with them, right?
Yep.
It's a fair fight. What do you have in that game? If you come out and lay an egg in that game, the writing couldn't be any more on the wall. But again, I'm still pointing to he's a winning coach as a head coach for the Detroit Red Wings still, and everyone's up in arms with Montgomery, 120-41 getting fired. They talk about Cassidy, 245 and 108 getting fired and winning the Stanley Cup later. Like, the Bruins are going crazy for whipping out coaches that everyone's ready to hire. Montgomery's sitting there now. I mean, how long is he going to be on the market? But
I think that's a little bit of Sweeney too. All of a sudden, the shine that was on his star doesn't look so shiny all of a sudden. I have a feeling that's a little bit on their general manager, Don Sweeney. If it was 15 years ago, I would go with Larry Robinson. You know what the thing about Larry Robinson is, and I know this for a fact, Tom Robinson. I don't think Larry wants anything to do with being a head coach, especially in a market where I don't want to say there's media pressure, but there's a lot of media that covers the team. Mm-hmm. I don't think he wants anything to do with that. I think he loves nothing more than to just be the assistant, the guy in the background. And then over the last, his last couple, just being a special advisor or things like that, there have been rumors of bringing him back in the fold in Montreal, but he's got family out in California. Obviously he's got roots with St. Louis. I think the days of him being behind a bench, even as an assistant, are done. Sean, what do you think your chances are of getting Steve Yzerman on this particular show? 0. He doesn't do things like this. He just doesn't. That's not him. I don't think he likes to do any of this stuff, quite frankly. But he's always talked to me when I saw him, and things like that. Let me tell you about Legacy. Did you know that thousands of Metro Detroiters have already called Legacy Partners to get help with their home and auto insurance? Our friends at Legacy are one of Southeast Michigan's top independent insurance agents. They provide a full-service, one-stop solution for all of your insurance needs, personal and business, large and small. Legacy has helped our listeners by fixing mistakes other agents have made, asking the right questions to get the right coverage put in place to properly protect you, and yes, help save you some money. Don't we all want to save some money nowadays? Chances are, if you haven't checked your policies in the last year, you're paying too much and you could be underinsured. So what are you waiting for? Give Legacy Partners a chance to help with your home, your cars, life insurance, Medicare enrollment, or your business insurance needs. Call them today, 586-209-4106, or visit legacypartnersins.com to get started with your new quotes. I can't say this enough. Alex and Dave and Joe are going to take care of you just like they took care of me. Once you're in with Legacy, you're part of the family. So make sure you give them a jingle. All right, I want to ask you this. If you had to point one thing, put a circle around one thing that troubles you the most about the Detroit Red Wings right now, what would it be?
The honest evaluation of the talent that we have on this team, the roster. I cannot get past that. And it is something that, as you know, I listen to a lot of Mike Lombardi. I love the guy. If you guys are out there, the GM shuffle, listen to this guy. He's spot on with football. Help you with your betting and stuff. But he talks about the hardest thing. He's looking at the New York Giants, the New York Jets right now are two teams that can't do that. We don't want to be the Giants and the Jets of the NHL. You don't want to be that. These guys that just continue to bring in. But Sean, again, Steve Yzerman, way smarter than me. Way smarter hockey mind than me. I get it. I'm looking at that roster. I looked at it last year. We had a conversation about it, and me and you had a conversation about it over summer with free agency and everything going on. We had a conversation before here. I don't see it. I do not see it. I don't see in any near future these guys coming up. And if we're waiting on Augustine, what are you talking, 3 or 4 years? I mean, 3 or 4 years. I mean, a goalie's just not going to walk off the Michigan State campus and win a Stanley Cup. I hope I'm wrong.
I can hear somebody talking exception to the rule, but what you're saying is right.
Yes.
What you're saying is right.
And so I'm looking at that, and I just have to think that they are not honestly evaluating the talent that they've brought in and where they're at right now. I think it's an unrealistic thing, and I think this is something that's going to be able to sit and keep on going because Ilitch is giving them full power to do this, and this is what it's going to be. If it is a miss, this is going to be one of the more epic misses in Detroit sports history, Sean.
I hate to say it right now, it looks exactly like the Alavela. I'm sorry. I'd be lying if I don't want to say exactly, but because at least there are some pieces contributing. But the pieces that are contributing, the two big pieces, I haven't seen them take the step. It's kind of been stagnant. It has. Yes. I mean, I haven't watched Mo Seider be what we all thought he would be. Everybody, including we two. I haven't watched Lucas Raymond take that next step yet. A couple comments. Steve seemed to be the guy in the past, or at least on Zoom. That was media availability through the team, though. But just having him on as a quote unquote guest, it's not his cup of tea. Todd said, "Who's the Red Wing alum that has the pedigree and reputation to do the coaching job? Don't we have our own Wah waiting in the wings?" A lot of people think it's Sergei Fedorov. I am not even going to sit here and pretend to evaluate his work in the KHL. I have no idea, and neither does anybody else. As I've gotten along in this business, and Mike, you hear me say this all the time. So, well, who's the best? Who's the best? I don't talk about guys I didn't see. Okay, I didn't see Bobby Orr. I didn't see Gordie Howe. I don't. It is fascinating to me, all these people who are talking about what the wondrous job that Sergei Fedorov did in Russia. You didn't see it. Stop it. You didn't. I don't know how else to. So
Sean, said, he pulled the goalie in overtime.
I don't know. I have no idea. I don't.
So if that's what people want, if we want to go, we need a Michigan man. We want to go that route, and we need a Red Wing. There's one that's got a proven track record, a short one everywhere he goes because he wears out his welcome. Is Jerry Gallant. He's been an NHL coach. He's had some successes in some places, but again, he's what is he, a year or two, and he gone.
Always seems that way,
right?
And sometimes they leave him on the loading dock and say the taxi will be here to pick you up in a few minutes.
And he's been available for
Steve.
Yes,
right?
yes,
Jeez.
And he's been available for Steve, and Steve did not get him.
Yeah.
So I think we've got to get out of that. I mean, there's guys that are out there, but I just want to say, so if Steve Yzerman is evaluating the talent that he's brought in, his guys, he has to know what he has, and he has to get the coach that can coach that team.
Yep.
You can't. You say the name at the top of my list, Quenneville. That's not Quenneville with this team. Quenneville's not going to coach this team. Quenneville coached Kane, Taves. He had one of the more talented teams that he took and won Stanley Cups with. That's not what we have here. Mm-hmm. You have to have someone that can come in and do that. And I'm going to be honest, and he's a hated man and a loved man. The only one I've ever seen have success with this is Babcock. Babcock with those Detroit Red Wing teams that at the end of it, that were horrible. The team that brought the Chicago Blackhawks in the first round to 7 games, that team was awful. Mm-hmm. And they took the Stanley Cup champion to 7 games.
Yep.
He is about the only one I've seen take just and make them better than they are. Not hold them at the same, but make them better than they are.
And we know that
that
man is never coming
back.
No.
I know that.
You know that. Yeah. Some other comments. Tom said, what bugs me, the Wings chasing the puck all night, losing the face-off, the board play is awful.
Effort.
It is. It's not one thing, it's another. I mean, that's really where we're at right now. It's a bad watch. It's a
that's all I've heard. Like I said, I haven't had to. Oh, I did the night me and you went to the Northville game. The Novi game.
Yeah.
I went home and I caught the third period. They were on ESPN Plus or TNT, whatever they were on. And I thanked God that I don't pay $30 a month to watch that.
Skydog, in other words, they don't have their Chris Osgood. Shout out, Ozzy. What's up?
Hey.
Been a while. Our buddy, the coach, no playoffs this year. Loud and clear in Banff. He's in Banff.
Beautiful.
You know
beautiful, I'm sure. Beautiful.
Tom said when Lindstrom first came in, he played a lot with veteran D partners.
Look at the teams he came in with.
Mm-hmm. Even those not yet Red Wing teams were still pretty
they were
good.
coming. They were coming.
91, 92, 93.
Yes.
Yeah, they were still pretty damn good.
And they brought in those like you said, veteran, those solid veteran defensemen that you could learn from. That's not Jeff Petrie. I'm sorry.
Boy, when the bottom drops out, man.
It drops out.
Man, when I'm telling you, like I won't tell you who. Somebody had a conversation with me when he came here, and I said, you just know what you're getting. If people were expecting this power play specialist of even a couple years ago, you're not going to get him. And boy, that was an understatement.
My goodness gracious.
Hey, if you're ready to take charge of your financial future, look no further than the Wealth Advantage Group, located in historic downtown Northville and owned by those two guys, the Handsome brothers, with over 20 years of industry experience. They understand that your financial goals are as unique as you are, and that's why they offer personalized. I mean that. Go inside Mike's office, beautiful office. They give you a pie the night before Thanksgiving, too. Did I mention that?
Get the F out.
Expert guidance to help you navigate the complexities of financial planning. Now, whether you're saving for retirement, you're getting ready to sell your company, you're already in retirement, doesn't matter. They can help guide you through every step of your financial journey. They work with clients throughout all stages of life, and they have clients in over 20 different states. The investment world is a complex one. And if you're ready to start taking your finances more seriously, what are you waiting for? It might be time to work with the experts. Reach out to the Wealth Advantage Group at 248-773-8574 or visit their website at www.thewealthadv.com. I feel badly for Alexander Ovechkin. I do.
Oh,
I feel badly for him
that's
because
terrible.
I was getting ready to give him my apology. I didn't think there was a snowball's chance in Hades he was going to catch Wayne Gretzky.
No,
I really didn't.
No, we talked about it last
I
year, and
really
then I
didn't.
think we giggled every time we saw Fat Ovi
Some of
over
those
the summer. That
pictures.
was unbelievable.
Oh
It was
my
awesome,
gosh.
and I don't know how much of that game you caught, but I got a late night hot tip from Uncle Ray. Uncle Ray
What up,
called
Uncle
me,
Ray?
yep, and he said, "Vegas over." I said, all right. I'm telling you, Uncle Ray calls you with a bet. You make that bet, Sean. I made that bet, and because of Ovechkin's 2 goals, that game went over. It was awesome. But he looks spry. He again, I think they're using him in the right spots. They're doing the right things with him. Dylan Strong playing with him. 5th in the league in scoring, Sean.
Right.
I mean, that's a young kid. That is one of those combinations that we'll get into because I've got some bets that I made because we talked about it last show, and I felt bad that I didn't have any NHL bets yet. So I had to go do it. So I've got some way too early odds for you to take a look at and take a stab at. But Strome jumped out at me at that, and I'm like, that it was going. That team was going. And unfortunately, I may or may not have a bet on that team. But
I'm telling you right now, though, Mike, it's terrifying to me that the injury is week to week and it's the legs.
I couldn't agree more.
It's terrifying.
That's exactly where I wanted to go with it.
Terrifying.
Is that you suffered a toe injury a long time ago, and that toe injury lingered and I mean,
it was awful.
I'm not here
I'm
not here to poke at your pain tolerance of your toe, but to say the older we get, they don't go away, and they're almost debilitating. And when I saw that, I was surprised I wasn't hearing surgery season over, the way that knee kind of buckled. So that tells me it didn't tear, or the guy's going to have unbelievable pain tolerance and try to get it this year and have surgery over the summer. But that's at least a sprain. That's a couple weeks at that age off of skates and not working out. He's going to take him 2 more weeks of games to get back. And that puts him out of, because they just started before that game, will he break the record in less games than Gretzky too?
Right.
He had a chance. It was an absurd amount. He had to go 27 goals in like 30 games or something stupid. But now there's no way he's going to do that. And I think this jeopardizes it happening this year.
It is. Okay, so I had I had the knee injury that I was dumb and walked around with a torn knee for a month and a half. And it took, I'm telling you, it took me years for my knee to feel not better, but good. Does that make sense?
100%.
And the toe, the coach is watching. Like literally, I walked around on a dislocated toe. So when I went to the doctor, he yanked it out, and I was like, "Oh, that feels good." But it's like anybody out there, your age, okay? Especially if you're younger, you can't relate yet. Maybe you're over 40, maybe you're over 45, maybe you're over 50. Your body, and especially when you're talking about a guy like Ovi, the wear and tear on that guy's body over the accumulation of time. Like, are you kidding me right now? I worry again Skydog, I've had a broken little toe for over 45 years. It was my second toe, and it was dislocated. It was stuck in my foot, and he yanked it out, and it felt wonderful. So maybe get it checked out. But listen, Mike, I hate to do this again. I worry he's going to do it. I worry, even this close, I worry he's going to do it. It's the legs, man. The first thing to go is the legs.
And you don't need any help having them go.
Nope.
And that's all that does. And he is not a slender fella. And he doesn't play the game easy. I mean, even at this age, he plays it hard. He's a big body. That's a lot of weight on a bum wheel. I don't know. Let's see if week to week's being just a precaution and he comes back a little bit earlier and it was just a bump and he'll be fine. Anything, sprain or anything like that, anything with multiple weeks that he's out, it's not happening this year.
Well, and you know what? It's you just said something, and I can't help but think of Eric Lindros. Remember all the times Eric Lindros had his brain injuries, and people would come back after each one and go, "He's got to change the way he plays."
Yeah. I mean, that goes all the way down to a conversation I had.
The way he plays.
A conversation I had with his junior coach. He said the same thing. They tried to get it out of him, Andy Weidenbach, in juniors when he was here with the Detroit CompuWare team. Tried to get it out of him then, and he didn't. And it's a problem for him. It was a problem of being bigger and stronger than everyone. His whole life he never had to have his head up. Then you get out of this level, and you've got Scott Stevens on the other side, and you have to do that. Now these guys are going to knock you out, and that's what happened, which is a shame because I would have loved to watch the full career of that guy.
All right, before we get out of here, and he and I are actually going to a game, I want to get your bets. But first, let me tell you about All About Catering. All About Catering LLC is a full-service caterer, graduations, weddings, bridal showers, corporate events, anything you need catering for, from 25 to 4,000 people. All About Catering can and will take care of you. Customer service and satisfaction is their number one goal. So do not sweat your next big event. Make sure you give Rick and his staff the call. Just go to allaboutcateringllc.com today to see their menus and all their 5-star reviews, or call 586-731-1398 to get your event started. Rick and his staff will take care of you like they took care of me and my family. I heard McSorley's going to keep Ovechkin off the ice. Isn't that funny? He did that, and then it was over. Like, it was like he never came back. That swing, it was like never came back. All right, what do you got?
Right.
This is like bonus, because you can make sure to check out what day are you guys going this week?
We are going at 8:00 this Friday.
Okay. Off the board. Make sure you check that out. I'll be in Marquette. Okay. Sorry, I won't be able to see it.
That's all right. And one of these days we got to have you on because we need one of your magic parlays.
Okay. Can I did get the Devils. Remember, I
yes.
I said -3.
You said 3 and it was 2.
But
it ended up being 2.
But the
goal
line.
line.
Yeah,
the
it was
puck and a half. Yeah.
Puck and a half. I won the bet.
Yeah. You would have won that bet if you took it.
I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right. What do you got?
All right. So what I have is I got 2 future bets here to take a look at. And the reason we want to look at some future bets now is you can get some value. So I'm not looking at the favorites.
Okay.
Right. For when we go to the Stanley Cup, I'm not looking at the Edmonton Oilers, who are the odds-on favorite, because there's no value there. You're not going to get anything. So we're going to look at a little bit further down the line and see if I can get you to bite on any of these. Starting with the Colorado Avalanche, 12-1.
No.
The Las Vegas Knights, 14-1.
You might, Rabbit. You might.
The Jets, 14-1.
Yes.
The Bruins.
I know the Jets are going to jet, but I do it anyway.
Yep. The Bruins are 30-1. St. Louis Blues, baby.
The value is real.
It could be.
But you're asking the wrong guy.
Right.
I wouldn't. The Bruins could be 10 seconds away from winning the Stanley Cup, and I wouldn't bet on them.
Now we're going further down.
Okay.
I got you. We've got the the Capitals at 40-1. We've got the Kings at 35-1. We've got the Predators at 35-1. And then one of my favorite teams, I just need to be good because I need to see another Tkachuk in the Stanley Cup, is the Senators at 50-1.
Could you imagine?
Any of those jump out at you? Any of those that you think? Because remember, what you're looking at, Sean, is you're looking at which of these teams at these odds are going to lower their odds. So let's take a look at the Knights. If you think the Knights are going to make the run, at some point they're going to be 5-1, right?
Yes.
And then that gives you value at your 14-1 bet to then bet some of those other teams that are up there, right? For example, I got Jared Goff at 40-1 in the summer.
Okay.
That's a ton of value when he's at 6-1 now. Mahomes loses, Mahomes goes down to 14-1. So now I've got Goff at 40. I've got Mahomes. I've got Mahomes at 14, and look at the run that Buffalo's got about 3 or 4 tough games left in there. When that happens and Allen falls, I jump on him and he'll be my small value. And then I've got my big value up. That's what you're looking at right now, this early in the season. So that to help you with like trying to pick any of
Who's 50 to 1?
the Senators.
I couldn't do that though.
Mark.
No, I still couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
Can I help you?
Yes.
All right. I took the Capitals at 40 to 1.
Okay.
Okay. It's a little bit hit with the Ovechkin injury, and we'll see where they're going.
I
but
would have said
that's
the
a
Kings.
different looking I'd see, and look at what I had. I took 2. They're the third team I have marked because you know my love for the Kings last year when we entered the playoffs. Then I had a boost, and I boosted a team that I think could pull the St. Louis Blues from a few years ago with the Predators. I like what they have. I like what they're doing. I don't think they're playing good hockey. Saros is somehow still throwing some numbers out there. Yossi is still throwing some numbers out there. Stamkos and Marshall are doing about what they're going to do at their age. However, defensively, they are awful. They're all high minus players.
That goes back to the rumors last year that they were going to get rid of him, that they were going to get rid of Saros. I mean, that was the big rumor, remember?
Yep. And then so you look at it's Brune, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is he on his way out? Could they bring somebody in? Montgomery? Could they Quinville and bring someone in like St. Louis did with Burke? But again, I'm buying some value. That was my biggest stretch. The Capitals, I think, are playing well. They had that run last year. They're building off that with that experience. So that was something to think about there to get some value. Now, way too early MVP odds.
Oh, okay. Let's hear it.
All right. So I searched hard, and anybody out there that's listening, if you know, and Sean, if you know, I do not think a forward outside of the top 10 in scoring has won the MVP. So why I bring that up, it's something to think about when you're going for it in these stretches of taking a long shot. You have to have someone that's going to finish up there in scoring to get those votes. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, would you be interested in Cal McCarr at 22 to 1?
Yes.
He's 9th in the league in scoring.
Yes.
Austin Matthews at 40 to 1. Not available as far as his scoring right now because he's out.
No.
Natchez 40 to 1.
No.
Eichel 40 to 1.
Yes.
Draisaitl 40 to 1.
Yes.
Hellebuck, even though they really don't give it to goalies anymore, Price and Theodore, 30 to 1.
No.
Jack Hughes 20th in scoring, 60 to 1.
Yes.
Kyle Connor 12th in scoring, 60 to 1.
No.
Ovi 11th in scoring, 150 to 1. If he let's say he's healthy, let's say he didn't get hurt, he breaks the record and finishes anywhere near the top 10 in scoring.
And the only reason I say no, is based on what we said, 10 minutes ago. I think this is going to be longer than
before the injury. I would have taken that bet because if there's one thing it's one thing voters love is a story.
Yep.
And that would be a great story.
I know.
How about number 22 in scoring, Matt Duchene at 500 to 1? 500 to 1.
I couldn't imagine.
Center. So he's the center on the second line of one of the hottest teams in the NHL.
I know, but I couldn't imagine a world where like somebody did that, but it's not 500 to 1. I get it.
You're right. Someone's going to throw money on that.
Yeah.
And here comes a team that you like.
Okay.
Kopitar, 500 to 1. He's 22nd in the league in scoring right now.
Oh, that would be cute.
Right.
What's the number on that?
500 to 1. So everyone loves.
He's a known too. I mean, at least people know him.
But he gets the defensive forward award. So that would be his where he would get that. So that's why I wouldn't get the Selke. Thank you. Everyone knows Kopitar, knows Kirill, right? What about Matt Boldy at 300 to 1?
Wow.
30th in the league in scoring. And I went to a game last year, and he's one of those players that is dynamic every time he's on the ice.
Saw him. I agree.
Any of those jump out to you?
A lot of them?
Mm-hmm.
A lot
for value. So watch this. What's this magic in our minds right here? I took Draisaitl at 40 to 1.
Yes.
And I took Eichel at 40 to 1.
I said yes to both of those.
And do you know what they are listed at on other sites? I've seen them as low as 25 to 1.
Really?
So there's value building already in those as soon as I put that bet in.
Good for you.
So for those of you out there that want to get into some future betting for the NHL, think about it. You're not looking at who's going to win right now, but you're looking at who's going to move and earn you value so that you can, when it comes time, lay more bets down and get your money.
I love it. Fantastic. All right, we got to get out of here. We got to go to a hockey game. Imagine that. Todd, thank you. I will talk to you guys tomorrow morning with Shep. Make sure you check out Mike and Blake, 8 o'clock on Friday.
8 o'clock on Friday. Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to be up in Marquette. So programming note, Todd, I won't be there for the college show either on Saturday. I'm doing the 8-man finals, 2 games up in Marquette, the great Superior Dome. It's like playing on cement.
Oh, fun.
You think I'm joking. It's like playing on cement. But anyway, thanks for watching. We'll catch you next week. See you.
What the Puck with Sean Baligian. Executive produced by Sean Baligian and Todd Losey. Theme song, incidental music, and related sound effects are from Always Pushing Forward by Elliot Middleton. Engineering, mixing, and graphic design support provided by the Unsyndicated Podcast team. Don't forget to like and subscribe on all your favorite channels. While you're there, be sure to rate and review the podcast. Got something to say to Sean? Call the Unsyndicated hotline at 248-237-3257.